This tensegrity table uses paracord to suspend its top by this middle string, while using the outside strings to stabilize it so it doesn't fall over. It's constructed using solid hand-cut joinery. If you want plans for this project, they're available on my website in the description. It started by cutting a mahogany board to length. I flattened one side by planing down the high spots. Then plane down to that line. The support arm is connected with a tapered sliding dovetail, so I marked that on each edge. I drilled a hole at the end of each channel to provide relief for the saw. Then I marked a block of wood at 7 degrees and hand planed it to that angle. I clamped the guide block to that board and tapped it to slightly taper the angle. And I pressed my saw against that block while cutting the walls. I made a printable template from the SketchUp model. To make it stronger, I lined up the long grains of the wood with the longest part of the support arm. I marked the shoulder with a marking gauge and made a knife wall with a chisel. Then I sawed down to my line. I stacked the support arms against the guide block and used it to chisel the dovetail to that 7-degree angle. I test fit the joint and it only went in a little bit because the slot is intentionally tapered. Then I pared it down with a chisel to give it a slight taper. Added a little bit of wax. Once it fit, I sawed off a bit of the dovetail to create a shoulder and make the support arm sit flush with the base. Once the joinery was done, I needed to cut out the shapes on a bandsaw. The corners are going to be too weak to drive a dowel into, especially this one with the short grain. So I'll reinforce them with splines. The spline's grain needs to go perpendicular for maximum strength. I used a marking gauge to mark a line down the middle of the support arm and drilled a 1/4 inch hole into the back. I carved a groove along the support arm, starting with a V-tool and finishing with a gouge. Then I tested the paracord in the groove and carved it a bit deeper for a good fit. I drilled a 1/4 inch hole all the way through the corners. Then I cut 10 lengths of 1/4 inch dowel and chamfered one end. Using my hand plane in the vise, I tapered the ends of the dowels. 2 of them are tapered on one side and 6 of them are tapered on 2 sides. I hammered the single taper dowel into the hole. Once the entire taper was in, the string was locked. Then I hung one of the arms from the other one to see how long to cut the string. I tapped the dowel in lightly in case I need to adjust it. Then I hammered the dowels hard to lock them in place. I placed 2 strings in each hole and hammered in the double tapered pegs. I hung the table up and measured how tall it was. Then cut 3 spacer blocks and used those to hold up the top while I fed the paracord through the holes and pegged it in place. I used a level while pulling the strings tight and fine-tuning the sculpture. And then hammered the pegs to lock them in. The table is quite sturdy with these 6 stabilizing cords on the outside. I'm not sure how much weight it can handle, and frankly I don't want to find out. If you'd like to try making it yourself, there's a link to plans in the description at a very reasonable price. But beware, it's not as easy as my other plans. This one does take some practice, so make sure to practice the sliding dovetail joint, which I've linked to in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hand plane that like button and subscribe to my channel. Bye.